Hi guys and welcome back. Today is officially the first video of the Inktober season over here on my channel, and this is the first day one Inktober piece that I did. So I've talked about this on a few places, but if you don't know what's going on, I'll be posting here on YouTube on Wednesdays and Saturdays through all of October and showing you guys some of the Inktober pieces that I've created during this month. And I'll also be streaming on my normal streaming days over on Twitch. That's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And if you are a patron, you'll get special exclusive videos on Monday and Friday. But let's go ahead and jump right in with today's piece, with the first Inktober piece of October. Okay, so for this Inktober, there's going to be a bit of a narrative and certain reoccurring characters throughout. So one of the things that I wanted to show first off with this first piece are two of the main characters that the story's focused around. And that was really kind of a challenge, honestly, because I have a whole month's worth of pieces that will in some way include these two characters. So I wanted to make sure that they had a look that I would want to keep revisiting, but also my plans for the way that I'm going to depict them throughout Inktober is that they will change and evolve as time goes on and as certain events happen to them. So their character design will adapt, which is going to be really fun and exciting for me. I already have some of the things planned out on how physically they're going to change to reflect some of the changes in the story. But it does mean that I needed to make sure that I was a little bit more careful with their designs from the beginning. Whereas with most of my pieces, they're one-off characters and I can just kind of make them look the way that I want in that one moment, but it doesn't have to be something worth revisiting or sticking to. And I think that's something I could get better practice at, I think. For these two characters, they're kind of blank slates for me right now, where like I said, I have these changes that I want to have happen to them over time. So I think that they will get a lot more richer and more interesting as I'm working on them, which is kind of what I want. I wanted something that at the beginning there weren't as many storytelling elements in their character, and that can build up so it can be a little bit more of a fun thing to look at as you're watching them changes, and as I am working on them. And as always, I have all of the tools that I use to create this painting listed down below. Actually, I keep forgetting to make sure that my masking fluid is listed down there, but it is officially listed down underneath this video since I've been using it a lot lately, and I really actually recommend this one. It's a great masking fluid. But that was kind of a nice thing about last Inktober, is that I found a lot of tools that I really wanted to work with, that I really loved and just stuck with me. So coming into this Inktober, a lot of those tools are still the same, which is kind of nice, where it's something that's reliable and I know that it works well with me, but at the same time, it's not as much exploration in the tools themselves. So I'm looking forward to incorporating some ways to address certain types of pieces and certain information in the pieces with kind of a more exploratory way of dealing with the tools. So I'm actually really excited about it, because as I'm working on different pieces, they'll have a different purpose within the story or within the way that you're looking at these pieces. So I can change the style of them to mimic different looks and different techniques that you might find on other pieces of artwork or other types of record keeping. So I made sure that while I was planning this overall idea out, that I left a certain window for adaptation like that, so that I wouldn't get too nailed down in a very single-minded technique for this. That is something that I did struggle with a lot last year, is that I went into Inktober creating pieces with a very specific look overall. I wanted everything to be completely cohesive, but because of that, it got really hard after a while, because I wanted to break out of that and I wanted to try new things. So this year I've kind of thought that through and thought of ways that I can adapt and make sure that that's part of the process for me. So a big part is that I still want it to be very cohesive. That is a big deal for me. I want them all to look really nice together in the book. But the way that I can do that is that I can just make sure that when I'm using different style techniques, that those are reoccurring and they're used for a specific purpose. That way, it's not just like a one-off chance that it had that kind of a look. I can repeat it elsewhere, which is great because it'll give me a chance to try those techniques out and see how I like them and see how I can make them better. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this Inktober, where I think that I'll be able to go at it with a little bit more creativity than I did last year. And one of the things that I actually learned from last year, and I learned that it was something that I actually really love, which is nice because if I didn't, it would be a lot more of a challenge. But I actually really enjoy working with ink washes on top of hot press paper. So the paper that I'm using is hot press, which means it's very smooth, which is great for doing the inking. It's a lot kinder on my hands than cold press, which is textured, and it's a lot harder to get some really nice crisp line work. But hot press paper is a lot harder to get very smooth washes of watercolors or ink washes. And last year, I just kind of learned that I enjoy letting the ink wash just do its own thing on the hot press paper, where it got more textured. And normally I would be really unhappy about that. Like if I'm painting skin and I have a huge not untextured, unsmooth area like on the skin, or where it starts drying and it breaks that smooth texture. But I found last year that I actually really enjoy it. I think it helps, a lot of it helps that it's all monochromatic, or that it has that gray base to it. So I think that it just adds a little bit more interest. Whereas maybe when I'm using lots of different colors and I have that kind of effect, it feels more like it's tearing the piece apart. Maybe. I'm not really sure what it is about why I actually really am okay with it when it comes to using ink washes, but it's more frustrating when I'm using colors. But I guess I can't be picky when it's something that I really do genuinely enjoy. So that is something to be aware of if you're thinking about using hot press paper, is that the nature of the beast basically is just that it is a lot trickier to work with. So if you're new to watercolors or new to ink washes or anything along those lines, I highly, highly recommend that you start off with cold press paper. It's still the one that you're going to get the most reliable results, and it's by far the easiest to use. And since I'm on the track of talking about the supplies that I'm using, I've been using micron plastic nibs for a while now, and I actually really, really love them. They have a different nib to them, and I find that with cold press paper, I'm able to get a lot better range of line thicknesses as I'm using it. It feels more natural and comfortable. I'm able to get more thicks and thins with that pen on cold press paper. But when I used it on hot press paper, I was actually surprised, and I talked a little bit about this on my Twitch stream if you were there earlier today, but I was surprised that those things that I felt like it was solving innately, it doesn't really solve that on hot press paper. It's kind of a cold press paper thing, which I thought was interesting, that it's kind of fixing some of those issues that I've struggled with cold press. But with hot press, I find that I'm gravitating a little bit more towards my typical micron nibs. I believe they're felt tip, but I've been reaching for those on the smaller sizes like 0.1 and sometimes 0.3, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting because I thought that the plastic nib, which I'm not sad about at all. I like being able to have different tools specifically for things, but I thought that plastic nibs was like the be all end all for a while. And I actually bought a new white ink, which I'm surprised I haven't tried this before earlier, but I'm still testing this one out. I'll list the one that I'm using down below. I think that when I first tested it out right after I bought it, I was sitting in line waiting to get checked out, and I was shaking it quite a bit because that's what you do with ink. So I think that when I first tested it when I got home, it was more opaque. And I think when I used it on this piece later, it wasn't nearly as opaque as I wanted. And I'm not sure if it's because it wasn't as mixed as well as it was before. So this is one that it's still going to need a little bit of testing. I'll let you guys know if I'm get more opaque ink in the future. So I'll keep you guys updated as I'm testing this out, and hopefully I'll be able to get the level that I want if it seems that it just can't match what I want it to be, then I'm going to do some more research and get a different white ink. Because I'm actually really excited to start incorporating that into my pieces and finding ways to use it. So yes. And if you guys do have recommendations, I haven't given up on this one yet. I think I just need to mix it better. I think a lot of the white is just sitting on the bottom of the bottle that needs mixed better. But if you guys do have some recommendations on some really opaque white inks that you've used or that you love, I would love to hear it. And that is it for today. I do have this painting available at my shop. There's a link down in the description that'll take you right over there. I will also be producing a book this year, just like I did last year, where I'm going to do it through Kickstarter, and I am actually really excited about this. I have a lot more goodies and incentives that I can offer for you guys, so I will let you know as soon as I have an official date that it will launch. And also, as I mentioned, I do stream over on Twitch, but if you can't make it live while I'm actually live streaming, all of those get saved as VOD, so you can actually catch up on all those extra Inktober pieces if you look under the tab that's called videos on my channel, and then you can just watch all those live streams. But that's it for today. I have a link to my shop, my Twitch, and also my Patreon for those extra exclusive videos for you guys. But that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back on Saturday with my next Inktober piece, and I'll see you guys then.